Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, securities analyst, and advisor, Morty Davis is a Wall Street legend. In addition, Mr. Davis is an outstanding economist and highly articulate, incisive, and very entertaining political analyst and strategist. He's Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical economic and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the news making the headlines is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Hello again. It's great to be back with you all. I love you. You are my regular participants in making this podcast much more exciting and much more compelling. So I appreciate your input. I use much of your comments that I get during the week. Even at some juncture, I get very annoyed by excessive criticism of some point. But as I have time during the week to reflect on it, you always come up with ideas that make me reflect and think and modify my wisdom and my knowledge. So I love you guys. It's great to be back with you 6:30 Wednesday, every Wednesday. So let's go to get on with the this week's news, which this podcast deals with every week. We deal with the events of the week, the major events as the news media determines it. It's always without any modification. Bad news, because only bad news makes the front page of the New York Times or the Washington Post or your favorite news magazine. And it's just by virtue of what is considered news that people would be urgently interested in. And at the time it's announced, as breaking news, I get aggravated every week when I hear it because it's always bad news. Major pandemics throughout the world, fires, tornadoes, floods, mass murders of innocent young children, kindergarten age or younger, and their teachers and people attending church or synagogue. Good news doesn't make the headlines. Might appear somewhere in the midsection or as footnotes, but not the front page.
All right, so let's start with a headline that we saw over the weekend, which is the sudden death of South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham from an apparent heart-related issue, sadly and suddenly.
The great senator from South Carolina.
Yep, Lindsey Graham, who was running for his sixth term, I think.
Yeah.
He was in Congress for some period of time, and then like 30 years in the Senate.
Each term is 6 years in the Senate.
Yep. and he was running in this fall. uh, a critic, and then a friend of President Trump. He was outspoken during the January 6th riot. Famous words: "Count me out. I've had enough."
And then he
became a good friend.
Not only a good friend, a major ally in all of.
Yep. He's always been very hawkish on foreign policy. He's a big supporter of Israel, a big supporter of Ukraine against Russia. And the governor, I guess as the governor can and does, when a senator steps down or leaves or dies, Henry McMaster, the governor of South Carolina, appoints a replacement during the period,
the rest of his
term, which will end in
January,
about 6 months, in January of 2027. So he appointed Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, to be the interim senator. There's a special election next month to pick the people who will run in the election in November, but her term, unless she's one of the ones who runs, maybe she will be, we don't know, but her term was just an interim term until January when they swear in the new Senate. So I guess two reactions, wondering what you think of what impact do you think it'll have, if anything, on the midterms or on foreign policy? And then what do you think about a governor appointing a relative? It's happened frequently. A lot of times the wife of a sitting senator gets appointed.
Right.
Do you think that's a good thing? It's sort of like a family inheritance?
Well, as long as she has the qualifications.
I don't think she's served in any sort of public office. She's been in public service, I think, but I don't think has ever had any political background, if that matters.
The discussion of
Maybe it's a good thing.
of her background says she's qualified, even though she never served as a public servant, elected a public servant. So I think that was okay as an interim program, and Trump did endorse her, and the governor took that advice.
So she likely has similar political views as her brother.
Right.
You think it'll have any impact on more broad the
it could, because
party? She was a strong figure in the party.
It definitely could, because remember the margin that the Republicans have in the Senate is one vote.
2 or 3. In the Senate, it's like 40.
I think it's one vote.
I think the Senate's 47 or 48 to 52. They have a very slim.
Well, with the vice president, it's they have a majority, but without the vice president, they're about.
I think it's 2 votes, 2 or 3 votes, very thin,
very close.
Yeah.
So it does have a big potential impact. In other words, the Republicans could lose that seat to a Democrat.
Right.
And that would change the makeup of the...
Right. I mean, he was extremely popular.
Yeah.
Particularly in South Carolina, where he's from, and he would have likely won.
Yeah.
So it's not just a seat, but it's also his voice in the Senate. You know, he was a very strong advocate he was always on the Sunday talk shows.
Yeah.
In fact, I think he was supposed to be on Meet the Press Sunday with Kristen Welker, and he was scheduled to be a guest that last Sunday, and he died on Saturday, I think. So, you know, he's always on the shows. He's a very strong proponent and supporter of
it could have a
Israel.
Big. Your question: could it have an impact? It could have a big impact.
Yeah.
Because that was a seat that they were like overwhelmingly expected
and a strong voice.
To keep.
Yeah. While we're on foreign policy, So we saw the ceasefire in Iran, the Iran conflict collapse, and now sort of back to, as they say, kinetic activities. I like that term, kinetic activities, they say, instead of just fighting. They use the term kinetic activity.
As long as nobody understands what it means, it's a good term.
Yeah. Well, the military's...
I never heard that.
Yeah, the military is always has a number of euphemisms and terms that we don't always use in regular day-to-day discussion, but they have. So one interesting development was that President Trump said that the U.S. will be, from the other day, will be from this point forward the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. Those are his words, the guardian, and that in order to compensate us for being the guardian,
he even added the U.S. will be the guardian angel.
Yeah, and in order to compensate the United States for offering this protection, an interesting term, protection, that he was proposing to charge a 20% fee on cargo passing through the strait. Interesting, because one of the reasons of going to war and clearing the strait is so that in international waters, which the strait is, it's under international law illegal to charge tolls or fees or any money to allow passage.
Right.
So I think a lot of people were struck by that suggestion by the president that the U.S. would now start charging fees, given that Marco Rubio shortly prior to that was saying there will never be any fees on the strait, and that's why we're in this conflict, to avoid having to be extorted for money by places like Iran. Interestingly, just the other day, the president, under, they say, some pressure from allies in Gulf states and other people, withdrew that proposal, no more 20% tariffs, saying that instead the Gulf states would be making big investments in the U.S. as a way to compensate for. So, I mean, at some level, I don't think it's unfair or unreasonable. You know, it's sort of like Trump's gripe with NATO is that we provide a lot of support and defense to NATO, but they need to somehow pay for that. You know, it's like, why should we, in the U.S., is doing a service to a lot of nations who consume oil?
That's not.
So shouldn't we be somehow compensated for that? I mean, I don't know, in the form of a fee. I don't know how you do it, but
it's not the benefit of the United States, but it's for the benefit of all the different companies and countries that go through the.
Yeah. So I don't think. I think conceptually what Trump was trying to get at, I don't actually disagree with. I think that's, the notion that we should get somehow helped out. You know, if you don't want to, we've seen a lot of countries not willing to help, send boats or troops.
No.
How do you do it? How do you do it without charging a toll?
If we're providing a service that's of value to other countries,
right,
and not being done solely for the benefit of the United States,
right. So how do you
presumably
do it?
It's not.
Right.
So you say,
so how do you do
whatever it's going to cost us, what you're going to charge?
As a toll, like Easy Pass.
Yeah.
What do? You can't, under international law, you can't charge tolls in international waterways. So how do you do it?
I don't think you call it tolls. You call it.
I mean, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
You call it reciprocal payments for doing something that helps the rest of the world. If it was just going to help the United States, I don't think it would be allowed. It's against the international
Well,
law.
it doesn't matter who it benefits. You can't do it. Even if it benefits the whole, it's under international law, it's illegal to charge tolls in international waters, period.
But he's not going to call it tolls.
Well, I mean,
He's
again,
going to call it the expense of providing this service to these countries.
That may be true, but I think if you charge proportional, I think he wanted to charge a 20% of the value of the cargo.
Right.
So I think you could call that whatever you want, but if you're actually requiring people to give you money equal to 20% of the value of your cargo, I would say that's a toll. Call me crazy.
No, you're not crazy.
So I think you're onto it. I think what you do is you just have you have the countries pay you. Maybe not in the form of 20% of the value of the cargo, but somehow you enter into an agreement with these countries that they will pay you an amount for protection.
It's costing you money.
Yeah.
And it's not only for the United States.
Well, it's mostly for them because, 20% of the oil goes through that strait, but we don't use that 20% or maybe some of it, but most of it, no. So it benefits us indirectly because if our producers and other places that use that oil and energy, if it hurts them, it hurts us because if we're buying stuff.
I think most of these countries would be pleased to pay
for protection.
If they could get, they could get their economy moving as a result, because it's really hurting them tremendously.
Yeah.
It's not for the benefit of the United States.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could never make that case.
Yeah. So we're actually almost out of time, but let's talk
already.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We'll talk about one other headline, which wasn't a big headline, but it was sort of a stealth law that became into law. The Congress recently overwhelmingly passed what was a bipartisan housing act called the 21st Century Road to Housing Act.
Yeah.
And it was
removing a lot of obstacles.
Yes, for housing. It was overwhelmingly approved. The president said it was, in his words, a big yawn compared to other things on his agenda. So he didn't sign it, but he didn't veto it either. And interestingly, which I didn't even know, I guess I was absent that day in social studies, but if a law...
I guess 99% of the people didn't know it.
Were absent the same day I was. But if a bill is approved by both houses of Congress and is sent to the president's desk, if Congress is still in session, it automatically becomes a law after 10 days.
Right.
If they go out of session, then it does not become law and it dies. That's what they call a pocket veto. So the president doesn't have to veto legislation to have it not pass. If Congress recesses, then it's effectively dead. But if they're in session and it passes, then it automatically becomes law, even without the president signing. So that's what happened. 10 days elapsed, and it became law. So it was Trump's way of approving it without making a whole hoopla ceremony signing, because he came out and said it's a yawn. So he just let it. But he also knew, I guess, it was not a bad thing because it includes a few things. I wanted to get your thoughts on, for example, it restricts the number of single-family homes that large investors can own. So people have been complaining that in certain areas of the country, big real estate conglomerates are buying up all these homes and then driving up home prices and rents. So now there's a limitation on that, which I offhand don't see a bad thing about that.
No, it was a good law.
Seems that way. I mean, as I say, it passed
It
overwhelmingly.
didn't get vetoed, did it?
Well, it passed because the president didn't veto it. Because Congress is in session, it automatically becomes law after 10 days.
But Congress didn't reject it.
No, Congress passed it, both houses overwhelmingly.
So that's it.
But normally the president would need to sign a bill to make it law.
Yeah, I understand.
In this case, he didn't have to do that. It automatically, it's sort of a quiet
After
thing.
a period.
10 days.
Yeah.
And so he didn't, he said it was not that important legislation, so he didn't bother to sign it, but he didn't veto it. So it does other things like streamlines other approval, permitting processes to allow homes to be built quickly.
It seemed like a good thing.
So it did seem like not one of those things, I guess, other than a mass shooting that made the headlines, or didn't, to your point, didn't make the headlines, right?
Yeah.
What did we see in the headlines? We saw Legionnaire's disease, we saw a building collapse, we saw, and what didn't we hear?
Right.
Something like the housing law that was actually
That if you eat lettuce.
And the lettuce thing. So anyway.
Let us stop eating lettuce.
Let us stop eating lettuce. Let us adjourn and let us reconvene a week from now.
We're already finished?
Yes, we're out of time.
Oh, my God. Well, it's been great being with you again. I love you all. You and all your loved ones have a fabulous week. Every following week from now till eternity. God bless you. I love you. And I look forward to meeting with you and getting your participation on this great podcast. Great because you're on it and you contribute so much. You've been a cohort. So have a great for you and all your loved ones. Each week from here on in unto eternity should be even better than the week before for you and all your loved ones. Have a great week. God bless you. I love you. Bye.